You can remember a random embarrassment from 10 years ago with painful clarity, yet forget the name of someone you met yesterday. You can replay a heartbreak over and over in your mind, but completely lose memories of ordinary days that once felt important. The terrifying truth is that your brain is constantly deciding what deserves to survive inside your memory and what quietly disappears forever. And most of those decisions happen without your awareness. Humans often think forgetting is a flaw. People become frustrated when they lose names, dates, conversations, passwords, or moments they desperately wanted to remember. Forgetting feels like failure because memory is deeply connected to identity itself. Your sense of self depends heavily on the story your mind tells about your past. But neuroscience reveals something surprising and unsettling. Forgetting is not simply a malfunction of the brain. In many ways, forgetting is one of the most important things the human mind does. Right now, your brain is processing enormous amounts of information every second. Sounds, faces, emotions, words, smells, movements, thoughts, and sensory details constantly flood your nervous system. If your brain tried to permanently store everything with equal importance, consciousness would become overwhelmed almost immediately. The human mind survives partly because it filters reality aggressively. Most experiences disappear because the brain decides they are not necessary for survival or meaning. Think about how little of your childhood you truly remember clearly. Entire years vanished into fragments. Most ordinary conversations, meals, walks, and moments disappeared completely. Yet at the time, those experiences felt real and immediate. Somewhere inside your brain, reality was once alive in vivid detail. Now much of it is gone forever. This happens because memory is not designed primarily to preserve truth. Memory evolved to support survival. The brain stores information it believes may help you navigate the future. Emotionally intense experiences tend to remain stronger because they signal importance. Fear, danger, love, humiliation, and novelty activate emotional systems, making memories more likely to survive. Memories are actually reconstructions. Every time you remember something, your brain rebuilds the experience imperfectly. Details change. Emotions reshape events. The past you remember is partly created by the present version of your mind. This means forgetting is not always about complete disappearance. Sometimes memories remain buried beneath consciousness, inaccessible until triggered unexpectedly by smell, music, emotion, or environment. A single song can suddenly resurrect years of forgotten emotion. A familiar scent can transport someone instantly back into childhood. Memory is deeply tied to emotional and sensory networks hidden beneath ordinary awareness. And perhaps that is why forgetting important things feels so disturbing emotionally. Humans instinctively fear losing pieces of themselves. Forgetting a moment with someone you loved can feel almost like losing them again. Memory gives continuity to identity. Without it, people begin questioning who they are. This becomes especially painful with aging. Watching memories fade in older individuals often feels heartbreaking because personality itself seems connected to recollection. Diseases like Alzheimer's terrify humans not only because they damage the brain, but because they appear to slowly erase the self. Memory and identity are so deeply intertwined that forgetting feels existentially threatening. Yet paradoxically, forgetting also protects the mind. Imagine remembering every painful experience with perfect clarity forever. Every insult, every embarrassment, every grief, every fear. Human beings might collapse emotionally under the weight of accumulated memory. The brain softens pain over time partly through forgetting and emotional reconstruction. Psychological healing often depends on memory becoming less vivid. Trauma reveals how important this process truly is. In post-traumatic stress disorder, painful memories remain intensely active instead of fading naturally. Traumatic events replay vividly as though the danger never truly ended. The nervous system becomes trapped in survival mode because the brain struggles to process and release the memory normally. In this sense, forgetting can become a form of emotional survival. But modern life creates a strange new problem for human memory. The brain faces overwhelming amounts of digital stimulation constantly. Notifications, social media, advertisements, videos, conversations, and endless information streams compete for attention every day. The nervous system was never designed for this level of cognitive overload. As a result, attention itself becomes fragmented, and attention is deeply connected to memory. The brain remembers what it focuses on emotionally and mentally. When people constantly divide attention across screens, tasks, and distractions, experiences often fail to enter long-term memory properly. Many modern moments disappear quickly because they were never deeply processed to begin with. Think about how often people scroll endlessly through content only to forget most of it almost immediately. Information enters awareness briefly, then vanishes. Humans increasingly consume experiences without fully living inside them mentally. Interestingly, the brain also forgets selectively according to emotional meaning. People often remember emotional pain more strongly than ordinary happiness because negative experiences historically carried survival importance. This explains why embarrassing memories often feel strangely unforgettable, while ordinary joyful moments fade faster. The mind treats emotional pain as important warning data. This can distort perception of life itself because humans naturally replay negative experiences more frequently than neutral ones. At the same time, positive emotional memories can also become distorted through nostalgia. Humans often romanticize the past because the brain edits memories emotionally over time. Difficult details fade while emotional warmth remains stronger. Childhood, old relationships, and previous periods of life may appear more beautiful in memory than they actually felt while happening. Forgetting shapes nostalgia by removing certain forms of pain while preserving emotional meaning. This may explain humanity's obsession with photography, journals, videos, and storytelling. People attempt to preserve experience externally because internally, memory feels fragile. Humans fear not only death, but disappearance through forgetting. Yet even external recordings cannot perfectly preserve subjective experience. A photograph captures an image, but not the exact feeling of being there. A video records sound, but not the emotional reality of the moment itself. Human memory remains deeply personal and impossible to fully transfer. And strangely, forgetting may also create emotional freedom. Imagine carrying every detail of your life permanently with equal intensity. Humans often grow because memory softens enough to allow movement forward. Forgetting creates space for psychological renewal. Humans resist forgetting emotionally because memory feels connected to love. People want to remember those they care about forever. They replay moments because memory keeps emotional connection alive after time passes. But perhaps meaning does not depend entirely on permanent memory. Some moments shape who you become, even if details eventually fade. Experiences leave emotional and psychological traces beyond conscious recollection. You may no longer remember certain childhood days specifically, yet they still helped form your personality, fears, values, and desires invisibly. Neuroscience supports this deeply. Much of human behavior is influenced by implicit memory, unconscious emotional learning stored beneath awareness. People often carry emotional patterns shaped by experiences they cannot consciously recall anymore. And maybe that is one of the strangest truths about forgetting. Humans rarely lose the past completely. Instead, the past changes form. Memories fade consciously while continuing to shape perception, emotion, and identity silently beneath the surface. At the same time, the brain constantly chooses what matters emotionally. You may forget exact words spoken years ago while remembering how someone made you feel. Emotional meaning survives longer than factual detail because the human mind prioritizes significance over precision. People often believe memory exists to preserve information, but perhaps it exists more to preserve emotional lessons. And maybe that is why humans should become more present while living ordinary moments. So much of life disappears faster than people realize. Conversations become forgotten, faces fade. Consciousness moves through time, constantly losing pieces of itself. Yet while moments exist, they contain extraordinary emotional reality, because one day, even this exact moment may become unreachable inside your memory. These words, your thoughts right now, the room around you, all of it may eventually dissolve into vague fragments or disappear completely. Human life is partly defined by this quiet erosion of experience through time. But perhaps there is beauty hidden inside that impermanence too. Moments become precious because they cannot be perfectly preserved forever. Memory fades, yet meaning survives through how experiences change you internally. Humans are shaped not only by what they remember clearly, but also by what quietly disappears while leaving invisible traces behind. If this video made you question memory, identity, and the fragile relationship between time and consciousness, leave your thoughts in the comments below. What important memory are you most afraid of losing someday? Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who loves deep psychological and philosophical questions. And until next time, remember this: the human mind was never designed to hold on to everything forever. And maybe that is exactly what allows it to survive.